Hey, welcome back to the return of COVID Part 10, the Omicron sessions. But I'm not really that worried about it, not necessarily, or at least not yet. And I don't think you should be either. I think that we should just wait and see what rises. So, in that honor, I've checked out of this medication situation for a while because I just gave myself permission not to think about it and not focus, the granular view of something so complex like this is not for anybody. It's not for you. It's not for the soothsayers who anointed themselves as, someone is an expert in something that's never happened before. It's impossible to get any sense of perspective or traction as you look so closely at something that's right in front of your face. So this latest turn is just, a curious, consensual, and I mean consensual meaning happening at the same time, awareness, a wrinkle in something that is going to be just dropped further and further down the headlines, I believe. I can't say that's for sure about this latest, turn where now we have a variant that seems to be prevalent in all places in the world without us having detected it. So we've never really looked for so hard for a particular thing. So I am less blown away by the discovery. Although I am bummed that two Christmas parties have got canceled today. And that makes me a bit sad because I don't think necessarily that's the right move based on what we're seeing so far. Though, like I said, I've given myself permission not to think about it and make those type of predictions or big decisions. But I do think that there can be great learning and a strategy such that we are I'm having some troubles with the Facebook feed. If you want some strategies that get us through this kind of difficult time, which includes testing, appropriate testing, rapid tests before big events, before meeting with your friends and family over the holidays. So I consider this just a learning process. So I'm going to revive this just because it is a good time, a good time for me. It means that I can pay attention to kind of a longer view and what's coming up over a good chunk of time, but also I get to devote some of my Monday nights to meditation. And that is what we're here to do tonight. So I wanted just to talk to you briefly about what is kind of coming out through these kind of media channels as this like high frequency noise that is designed to capture our attention. Like I mentioned, they have this news cycle that perpetuates itself, that feeds off this kind of almost anxiety that wants us to constantly refresh, wants us constantly to know, to be able to predict. But it is not, I think, that type of vigilance that it requires is not particularly healthy. And it's not consonant with, our well-being, being able to rest, being able to decide who we want to be. This kind of the negativity bias embedded in the human creature, of which I am one, this means that we're kind of trying to puzzle out the worst possible case scenario. So sure, in this instance, it's that the Omicron is more contagious and more of a bummer, meaning it evades vaccines, it causes a greater sickness, which is hardcore because we're facing kind of like a bit of a hectic situation in the ER without it right now. Meaning we're having this crisis of healthcare workers, people have quit, people have done other things, everyone's tired of the mask over their face. So It's not an ideal time. However, I quoted Shunryu Suzuki Roshi in this title to this video, and in his book Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, says, in the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind there are few. Those of you who sat with me here before or who have joined on the CEC channel at cecmeditate.com know that we often speak to this situation of beginner's mind because it gets beyond this negativity bias that we are so easily drawn into. Now, what that can look like for us as human beings is, when waiting for this situation is, cases are one thing, but they're not what we need to pay attention to right now because it depends on so many factors. Who's getting tested, the kids in school, industry. It's a variable that is so in flux. It's not even necessary to even pay any attention to it, in my opinion. Once cases jump up like 2/3 or double, then we can start to think that there's greater spread in the community. But right now, cases don't even bother looking at them. In fact, in Ontario, they're kind of up and down, and I would say that is just noise, and I don't think we really even need to pay very much attention to it. What we need to pay attention to is hospitalizations, and so far, if this is like a really tightly joined signal, in my opinion, we would probably start to see them already. Hospitalizations and ICU admissions. And though this variant was discovered in South Africa and Botswana noted first there, it's all over the world, obviously. And as far as I can tell from my reading, it hasn't been the case that we've seen this uptick in hospitalizations or ICU admissions, which is cool. So the point is just to not freak out and to go about your daily business, wait for further word about what it looks like from inside the ICU or ERs based on the patients that are coming in, and then, make do with what that change, whatever it happens to be. So that's what is important to remember. If it is, intuitive, follows that pathway, then it could be the case that these variants are going to select for something that is less lethal. I read somewhere that this may have combined with a common cold, another coronavirus, which means it's very transmissible, but your body kind of catches it up here. It doesn't really get down here. It doesn't really get that born into your bloodstream because you've already seen them before. Maybe you're a little kid, you get sick. That's why little kids who are like, 5 months old to 5 years old, they get feverish, they get cranky, they get the full enchilada. But you as an adult, you remember from having kids in daycare, they come in, they're sick, you get a cold. So that means because your body's responded to it already. So best case scenario, these variants get more contagious, less sickening, and then we all develop something like an immunity, and we start to forget about it. This thing fades away into nothing. So that's as likely a story, in my opinion, as, another lockdown. We've got the next, conspiracy phase of vaccine passports. This has been ordered up to perpetuate those. Those are just stories. So is that what I just told, just a story. But it kind of fits with both my preference and kind of my spidey sense that has been born from studying physiology and medicine my whole life. So that's a don't know mind. We don't know. All that we get to do is sit in this open space and really just be as kind and loving as we can be to ourselves and people in our lives. We're going to practice a bit of that during this meditation session because it's a valuable attitude to have. Just that surrender, not letting your mind clench on any particular idea such that all things can rise equally. And there's a study that happened in a quite in the 70s, when EEGs were first new. And it was looking at monks who had meditated compared to lay people. And what they did is they struck a bell. And in the person who had no meditation experience, the EEG signal attenuated, meaning it went down, dropped proportionally, less in the second bell, less in the third bell, less surprising. However, on the experienced meditator, the signal kept on full potential, full activation, because they didn't know what was going to happen. They had that don't know mind. They kept themselves kind of free. They freed up their nervous system. They didn't tamp down. Anyone who studied neurophysiology knows what attenuation is. You run a signal through a neuron and then it kind of dampens it down because your body wants to note the surprising. It doesn't, 9/10 of your body, if you sit and think about it, you're not sensing it. You're sensing the surprising part of it, the pain in your back or the ache in your knee. Well, I guess I'm being a bit biographical here. But, the rest of it, your body cuts out, and it cuts out by doing this thing called attenuation. So when we live in this kind of, what happens with the media cycle, it wants to kind of continue to shock you and activate you and make you on hyper alert and hyper vigilant, but it's not healthy. So what we get to do is we get to sit with this don't know mind, at least in this meditation, and we get to let all things rise, including the best possible outcome, which is we get exactly what we want in this lifetime. That humanity is just in the process of waking up, and this is just like a child goes through a viral infection and then grows. The connections that we make through this time are ones that will mean something in the future. Is it a disaster that inflation is happening? No. I think it's a disaster that a banana costs 25 cents or that you can get a widget or like a LED candle for less than $1 and then throw it in the garbage. I think that's a disaster. So if that changes, I'm down with that. I use that as a small example, and that's maybe, I clearly don't see the whole picture. But this kind of slowing down has riches in it. And we're coming together over these shared questions, and it has riches in it. And as we come together and we're being asked to make decisions about who we are and climate change like that, is it a surprise that the nature has asked us to come together in a different way? That we're thinking about vaccines in Africa, not just as it ethical, it's biological, because variants happen there. So you can look at it in two ways. And I think the view that I'm holding is that we don't know the riches that are on the way. I can feel some of them in my life, in my body, by being slow down enough to feel love, slow down enough. I'm not on a plane, I'm not in an airport, I'm not running away from myself. That's that for me. That's riches. I've been blessed in this lifetime to see the world, so I'm enjoying the peace that I have now. And let's before I turn to that, someone commented, asked about vaccines in kids, and I'll just say it about, everyone knows my opinion about vaccines. They were made with love in mind, and that's their intended outcome. But I have to say that if it depends on how you use them. Meaning, if you feel it as an act of oppression, then it won't be good for you. If you see it as an act of freedom, then it will carry that. It will carry you. And that's how I see it. That's how my dad sees it. He's older and immunocompromised. It's an act of freedom for him. And he feels great after getting it. So, you do it from an act of love, and do it from an act of kindness for your kids, like so many people do, then it will, just like all of the other things that you do for them, it will land on ground that holds them and nourishes them and cherishes them. So, to the small number of people who don't want to do it, I love you anyway. I mean, what can I say? I hope I don't see you in the ER. If I do, I'm going to be excellent. And I would just say, get tested, be safe, take care of your body, stay strong, be healthy, and thank you for being, so provocative. I'm not into the people who are bullying. That's a different category of people, and they'd be bully about anything. So I'm talking about the people who are legit afraid, legit affair, kind of skeptical, not the people who are, mean. And if it's the protesting, the fight against the tar sands or whatever, and I'm talking about the people who are afraid. But the good news is it seems to be cool. We're going to learn so much more together over the next week or so as sort of details start to come out. But yeah, I think you're just going to pick this up in your step and ideally not think about it too much. And, I'll do my best to kind of keep appraised of the science, give it on a weekly dose. Monday nights are probably good because they're lame otherwise. And we'll find a way together that we'll get. The most important thing is we get what we want. We get what we want. Now, Christmas, maybe we want the turkey and 100 people and all that stuff that we had in the past, but, the past is in the past. I don't know. But we do get love. What we want is love. What we want is family. What we want is to feel, alive and cared for. And we can get those things. We will get those things. We insist on those things. How it looks like, I don't know. Don't know mind. So, but I do trust that is on the way. Okay, those of you who want to sit, stay with me here. We're going to probably take about 15 minutes and just go through kind of a little mini meditation focused on this attitude of just openness, kind of untangling the tendency to close off too soon. All right. So wherever you are, if you feel like joining, get yourself into kind of a relaxed and a comfortable, relaxed and alert position is the way to go. I mean, you can go supine if you want. That's dope. But for most of these, sitting up is kind of relaxed. It gives us this one step closer to doing this kind of like holding this attitude in our waking life, in our walking life, in our working life. Okay, wherever you are, get comfortable. That's good. I don't know if you can hear the strains of the bell fade, but they become thin and carry. So vibrations dampen, and our world around us and within us is alive. Take a deep breath. Just give yourself permission to settle on that out breath. Second. And on the exhale, those last, milliseconds, the falling, there's a bit of stillness there. The breath must occur, obviously, but our attention kind of hangs on to the stillness, the body at rest, the end of the out breath. If your attention was an anchor, that's where we would set it for these next minutes. On the still body, on the out breath. If this is your first time doing this, or it's been a while, or just a busy day, don't be surprised if things are busy. The act of meditation is not to make the mind unbusy. It's not to find even rest. It's to settle and let whatever is be. That's good. Just let that out breath as if it kind of sinks into your still body. It's connected to the chair or the cushion or the floor, connected to the wood in your home, connected to the soil, connected to the rivers of iron and rock. This is the inheritance of the still body. It is alive in the earth, but very much of it. It's rock and minerals. Your mind carries us away, no matter how firmly we are planted, listing into future, past, fantasies, memory. And that's good. It's living. As we notice, we bring our attention like an anchor to the last few moments of the exhale and the settling that it points us towards in our body at rest. That's good. This is a home. This body of ours. Our perfect home. Alive ever changing. You can stay here if you want. Just that feeling of quiet in the body. But if you like, you can hold that a soft attention and let it kind of move beyond the body to anything that's coming up in your experience. Could be a thought or a feeling, images, sounds outside this window, your window. That soft allowing of that last bit of the out breath, so easy. Let that feeling imbue what else is coming up in our awareness. An allowing, an invitation for whatever to rise can rise, whatever needs to fade away can fade away. If you notice yourself hanging on to something, it's a tension in maybe your face or your jaw, or your shoulders, or your neck, or maybe just your emotional body, encounter from today, worry about something coming up. Give yourself permission to soften. Just loosen that grip, just like that last bit of that out breath. If no matter you're trying, what you hope to soften doesn't, then you can let go of that feeling that you wanted to leave. This is the open position. We don't know what will be, but we allow it. No clenching, no struggling. And if there are those things, then we're okay with them. They're allowed. Open position. And in it, room for us. To be extravagant and to be kind. Create. Feel free. No matter what. No matter what. Not just feel free, but be it. In these last moments, we like to dedicate this work that we've done, just sitting and opening, to the world. Trust that the space that we make is for more than us alone. And as if that last bit of out-breath was a bellows that can incrementally deliver a micrometer more space. Into your life and through it to the people you love. We send this silent invocation to our friends, our family, strangers, all living things. May you know safety. May you know peace. May you love and be loved. You guys did great. That was cool. My poor Facebook feed, people there have been without sound, which is great for the meditation. But uh, I'm grateful to all of you for sitting. That's so dope. If you want to check out the Conscious Explorers Club, they're going to do a session after this. So that is cecmeditate.com. And they're going to, it starts at 7:30, but there's like people from all over the planet kind of doing this thing and dialing down into the nitty gritty of how to show up for each other during times like this. So, yeah, you sat with me. What a great gift. I send you my love. I will see you next week. And until then, you have held so many people, me included, up. And this is our, I presume, to be our finest hour, truly. Okay, I'll catch you later. Peace.